Good morning, friends, and welcome to Today at the Races at Laurel Park. That's the handicapper from Holland. I'm Tim Tulloch, and we hope to guide you through today's card, which Naomi, I think is a little tricky at times. We had a great day yesterday. Looking forward to a good day today.
Yeah, absolutely. Even up until the last race, we have very competitive starters allowances coming up. I'm looking forward to this, but you're right. Especially the last two races, I looked at them. I think I've looked at them 5 times at least, and I'm still trying to figure out who's going to get the win on the day. So certainly very competitive, which is phenomenal. Great betting opportunities.
It's quite amazing considering what we're dealing with. Yeah, I changed my picks, I don't know, 2-3 times this morning in certain races, and then finally settled on some horses. But I think it's going to be a very, very interesting day. Very interesting Rainbow Pick 6, which we will get to here in a moment. But the first thing we want to get to is our change in schedule for the upcoming week and in April. So here's our April events upcoming. No live racing this upcoming Thursday and Friday, April 15th and 16th. We will not run this Thursday and Friday, the 15th and 16th. We will come back next Saturday. We will run Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That's April 17th, 18th, and 19th. We'll get some turf racing next weekend if Mother Nature agrees with us and goes along with us. Hopefully
Let's
we get
hope so.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cooperates. That's the word I was looking for. Cooperates with us. And then, of course, we've got the Spring Spectacular coming up on April 24th, Naomi.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big weekend coming up for us. It is 3 weeks out from the Preakness. Has, of course, the Preakness Prep, the Tessio. We see the private terms 1, 2, 3 finishers coming back in that as well. Shackled Love, May the Horse Be With You, Accelerator. So exciting. And, of course, last year's Tessio brought you the Gold Cup winner in Happy Saver. And then going into the Preakness, it's going to be hard to top last year's Preakness. But I'm hoping that we'll get a stellar field once more.
Well, I've watched the Preaknesses all my life, and I didn't think you could top the 1989 Preakness Easy Goer and Sunday Silence. But there's been plenty of good races since, including last year. The Preakness always delivers a really, really good race, and we look forward to that. But before we get there, we have to get here. We've got a pretty nice carryover in the Rainbow Pick 6 this afternoon. Get started in race 3. It's an 8-race card today, so the Rainbow Pick 6 gets started in race 3, just under $8,000. It's a very interesting sequence. I think there's shots for some prices in that sequence, Naomi.
I think so as well. A couple of horses coming in with form that, we haven't seen them in a couple of days. But I'm looking forward to this as well. Actually, I like, perhaps if people want a single, I was looking at this sequence. There's spots that you can go tight. Like, for example, I think race 3, you might be able to go a little bit tighter. We both like a Union Song in that. Now, then you want to spread a little bit again in that maiden 25. But then, of course, the last 2 races, you want to save some money for that because you want to go deep in race 7 and 8.
No doubt about it. Those are very, very tricky races, wide open. I think the favorite's like 2-1. And then spreads out from there. So that will be fun, our Rainbow Pick 6 this afternoon. We had a lot of rain last night, Naomi, but the sun is coming out. It's going to shine all day on our racing surface. We're going to start out muddy, but it may get a little bit better as the day goes on. Maybe it dries out enough for them to open it up or at least back harrow it a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder if they will. I hope they will. It's a warm day. As you can, we're in the shade still. There's a bit of cloud cover, but the sun has been peeking through quite frequently. On my drive here, it was sunny the whole way. So I'm hoping that indeed we can upgrade the track later on and it will dry out throughout the day.
Yeah, it's about to be 70 degrees today. And if you look to the right, if you guys don't mind, go back to that picture if you could real quick. The most important part about that picture that we just saw, look to the left.
Turf
look at
course.
That sea of green. That course is going to be ready to roll next weekend, and we're looking forward to that and welcoming back turf racing to Laurel Park, and hopefully we get that in next weekend. Naomi, let's get started. This is a fun card.
Let's
Might
go.
as well get going right now with race 1, and race 1 kicks off the Super High 5. Every race with 7 or more entries. Super High 5 wagering is available. Also, the early pick 5 gets started in race 1, 50-cent minimum. 12% takeout races 1 through 5. Mandatory payout on the early pick 5. Race 1 is for maiden fillies and mares, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And Naomi, we're going to start with your top pick. That is the 5 Southern Galaxy, Patty's Princess for Claudio Gonzalez. This one gave up some ground in debut in late February, but comes back with a break and some good works.
Yeah, same conditions as well as her debut. That was sloppy ground. Now is going to get the money going. So at least she has that experience under her belt. Patio Prado, I think, goes well on the off-going in terms of his runners. We'll have to go a furlong less. She didn't really deliver for the better. She was well bet that day. She was kind of backing up before the bend, but she rallied into a gaining third, making me think that possibly going a furlong less might be exactly what she wants today. And of course, Claudio Gonzalez has hit the ground running, so you always kind of want to keep an eye on his runners.
Yeah, you certainly can't throw him out. Claudio 25% with his maidens making their second start, and good off of this type of layoff, and just good workman like races, maybe a little drop in class to the maiden 10 this afternoon. I have the 3 Classy but Sassy for Hammy Smith. Katie Davis gets the call here this afternoon, second off of a little bit of a layoff. I didn't think that race, her last race, was that bad of a race. I mean, it was pretty even. She was outrun 3 lengths the whole time, ends up getting beat 3 lengths, benefits from the race over the track, should be able to handle the off track.
I actually feel like that race was a lot stronger than might suggest the running line and the figure, just a touch soft figure.
Sure.
That was a large field. She rallied into it wide, even got in some trouble in the stretch, had to switch out, had to kind of switch her momentum over, but that didn't stop her from trying. And that was the second start after quite a lengthy layoff. She was over a year off, so this is going to be her third start. Second start with Hammy Smith. No, well, actually, no, he was in the same mark. Excuse me. That was me reading it too fast here. But no, I like her progression after that layoff, and I think she can possibly build on that once more.
I think it's a 5-3 in the opener, 3-5 any way you want to look at it in race 1 as we move to race 2. And race 2 does kick off the early pick 4. And Naomi, you put together a ticket for us. You had to make a late change because it was a late scratch.
I did.
In race 3 of the 5 Margie's Heaven, but let's see how you played it.
Yeah, I go 3 deep here in this 3-year-old and up starter, allowing 6 furlongs. I use the 3, the 5, and the 6. The 5 is my top selection there. To the front for Anthony Ferrier. Might have to try and outsprint Candy Graham from Mongo early, but this is a flexible runner who's been on an absolute tear since August 2020. He's not been unplaced since then. Stretches out here again, but he also has that ability to stay and stalk. So I like him in that spot. And then in race number 3, like I said, you can go a bit tight here. I used the 2 and the 3. Before that, I had Margie's Heaven in there, number 5. Well, she's not running, so I ended up adding Award 1 to just making sure that I also have the pace horse in there. I think Union Stone is going to get a perfect stalking trip there, though, and Union Rags does all right on the off-going as well. She was 3 wide last time out. Pace battle, not the ideal spot at all, and still nearly got the job done. And then in race 4, I used the 5 and the 6 here. The 6, Mr. Mims, Anthony Lynch here. If he can build on that last race, going up a maiden class here from the maiden 10 to the maiden 25, will be solid. But I also use the firster here, the number 5 for Cal Lynch. You don't know what you don't know until you see them running, and good work chap coming in here as well. And then in race 5, I use the 1, the 4, and the 7, with the 7 towards the outside. Belvoir, Jerry Rope, Xavier Perez. Hopefully they'll deliver one of their customary speed horse for me again here today. So yeah, using the 7, but just being cautious, using the 4 Invest as well, who also has a bit of pace, and then the 1 in him with him, who might come with a beautiful late run.
A horse that was in very, very good form for Damien Delvigo in with him, and returns to the form, and you certainly have to consider that horse in race 5. $18 ticket for Naomi's early pick 4 sequence, and race 2 is a starter allowance going 3/4 of a mile. And Naomi, you have the 5 to the front on top. So do I. This one comes in for Anthony Ferrier, and this one's been showing up, whether it be here or Charlestown. He brings his game virtually every time.
Every time indeed, and to the front is so appropriately named. He loves going to the front and has the speed to do so, but has shown a good bit of flexibility, being able to stalk and pounce as well. Might have to either take a lead from Canigram for Mongo, try to outsprint him early here, but that doesn't matter because he's just been in terrific form since August 2020. Has not been outplaced since.
He hasn't. He shows up. I think he'll show up again today. That was a lifetime best at Charlestown in his last start. But you go back and you look at his races from November to January here at Laurel Park. Those races work here. I mean, if he can run back to those races, I think he can get the job done. It's had a work sense for Anthony Ferrier. I think he outruns probably Candy Graham for Mongo. The 6, Kingston Pike for Donnie Barr. This one's been hanging around a bit over the since last July with some good results, but only one win. Does have the figures, but I think he's going to have to come up with a little bit more.
See, I thought that last race was quite interesting. Now dropping back from that open allowance company he kept last time out, where it wasn't his race at all. He didn't get away quickly enough, covered a lot of real estate, but did rally for fourth and nearly got up for a third that day. That's how hard he was fighting for it. If he comes with a try like that, possibly in a much easier field and covering less real estate, getting away better, he can be very dangerous here.
And he should have enough pace to run into if he's capable with the amount of speed that is potentially in this race with the 3. I'm going to tap it now, and of course to the front. You have the 2, Uplifting, at the bottom of your ticket. I didn't get to the 2, but we have a video for this horse, and you had to go in the archives for this one there, Naomi. Yeah. This is from June 6th of 2020.
Yeah, if this horse is in solid form like he was that day, June the 6th, you can see him there up front. He took them coast to coast that day, and he did so very, very comfortably. This is his 7-year-old, not as heavily raced for a 7-year-old. The reason I use this race is Kingston Pike was in there too that day. He tried to rally into it, couldn't get to him. If Uplifting turns up the way he has run in that race today, he can be very dangerous. Now, I did started changing my picks around. I'm not sure he loves the off-going as much. I was hoping we were going to get a faster track. But this is a horse that loves being on the front, loves being left alone, and clears away quite comfortably here. Nobody is able to run into him at all, and he wasn't even going slow. He was doing decent enough fractions. He didn't slow them down up front. So anything similar to that would get him the win here. Now, of course, he had a couple of breaks. We do need to see back the old Uplifting again.
This will be second off the layoff this afternoon for Uplifting. Naomi and myself see race 2 quite the same here, 5-6 for the both of us. As we move to race 3, remember race 3 does kick off the Rainbow Pick 6 on our 8-race card here this afternoon. We have a bit of a carryover. Almost said that, but $7,930, just under $8,000 here this afternoon. I have a pick 6 ticket, $64.80 play, and I use the 2 and the 3 in race 3. That's Union Song, and of course award wanted, first time off the claim for Jerry Robb. Always dangerous there. Race 3, the 2, the 5, and race 4, the 2, the 5, and the 6. My top pick in there is the 6, Mr. Mims for Anthony Lynch. Race 5, I spread there a little bit, 3, 7, 9. I like the 3, unequivocal, on top, 5-1 on the line for Anthony Aguirre. This one's 3 for 5 on the off-going. Race 6, 1, 2, and 6. The 1, Fearless Lastly, a first time off the claim for Claudio Gonzalez. Race 7, 2 of them there, the 3 and the 4. I really like the 4 in race 7. This is a tricky race, but I like a money ride for Claudio Gonzalez in race 4. And then race 8, another tricky race, 3 deep there, the 3, 4, and the 6. But I like the 4, 9-2. Sir Back in Black for Jamie Ness, who has dropped back and punted with this one. Comes in with some good drills. I like Sir Back in Black. 9-2 on the line. $64.80 ticket in the Rainbow Pick 6, which gets kicked off in race 3. And race 3 is another starter for fillies and mares going a mile. And Naomi, we both have the 2, Union Song on top. Why not? Let's look at her last race from February 26th, and she ran a big one.
She did indeed. That wasn't ideal conditions for her at all that day. 3 wide there, involved in a pace battle between horses, as you see another runner coming up on her outside. As Keith called it, that's kind of like the spot you don't want to be in. You're getting pressure from all sides, basically. But she kept on rallying all the way to the wire. I mean, that was very, very gutsy. She looked like the winner coming into the straight here, just absolutely tanking down the lane there. Just a very, very game mare that I like to see come back here again. She probably will have to allow maybe Award Wanted on her outside to sprint forward. But this mare will give her a run for her money down lane. She will give the whole field a run for their money down the lane. She doesn't give up. You can see her incredibly determined, nearly doggedly trying to fight back one last trial there. I thought that was a wonderful performance. I really just don't have anything negative to say about her. That is this trip over the 1 turn mile here. She's trained by Anthony Ferry, who I've been discussing. It's been tricky for them having their horses go out, but this mare has been going out every day. She hasn't ran on the off-going just yet, but looking at Union Rags, 13% with his off-going runners. That works fine for me.
Sure. Dixieland Band Mare works fine for me. Also should handle the off-going without much problem at all. And this she's been in really, really good form since coming to the Anthony Ferrier barn. Javion Toledo gets a call. They win at 22% of the time. They won one yesterday. They could win another one here today in race 3. The 5 is, who is the 5? Oh, Margie's Heaven.
Margie's Heaven is out. Yeah, that was a late scratch.
Is a late scratch. The 3, Award Wanted, first time off the claim for Jerry Robb. Always dangerous. Jerry is 24%, first time off the claim. Blinkers go on. Winner in her last race with a life best.
Yeah, a filly on the improve, clearly. And possibly the runner that benefits from Margie's Heaven being out. I think they're going to go straight to the front where the blinkers go on. She's shown a touch bit of speed in her last run. Jerry Robb loves sending horses to the front. Xavier Perez is aggressive with them. I think Award Wanted might just go to the front and try and cruise and steal it. And then that's when I'm hoping Union Song is going to go and run her down. But Award Wanted benefited massively from the fact that Margie's Heaven's not in this. No pace pressure from the outside, really.
We both see this race exactly the same. I think the race does go through the 2 and the 3, the 2 Union Song and the 3 Award Wanted. As we move to race 4, this is a maiden 25 event for maiden 3, 4, and 5-year-olds going 6.5 furlongs. And this race is pretty wide open. It kicks off the late pick 5. Remember, 8 race card. Late pick 5 kicks off in race 4. This race is pretty wide open when you look at the morning line. The morning line favorite is at 7-2, and that's our top pick, Mr. Mims, for Anthony Lynch. And we have a video on Mr. Mims from his last start right here at Laurel Park on the 5th of March.
Yeah, he goes goes up in class here, up in maiden class. After a career best performance, he sat mid-pack and you can see him moving up strongly on the turn. He's dueling gamely with distance down there. He's not about to give up. He looks like he's that determined. He's going to get there. Couldn't topple that foe, but is looking to put away this field. Yes, a step up from the maiden 10, but you can see the rest of the field is nowhere to be found. So these two basically were the top 2 in that field. It is a step up, but to me, not the biggest of one, because that 55 buyer, that works here, unless you have a first-time starter on his inside, the number 5, He's Orientate, that jumps up and maybe runs a 60, which you don't know. Good Works coming in. Orientate, they run 15% winners on the wet going, which is interesting. 10% with 3-year-old firsters is good enough. Interesting horse on his inside. Charlie Marquez gets the call on that one.
Going back to the 6, Mr. Mims, my only concern is the step up, and you're right. The step up here I don't think matters looking at the field. My concern is he had every opportunity to win that race in his last start. And I'm looking at 2 comments by our chart caller. We might know him. You might know him, Keith Fustel. And he's got this horse hanging twice. So it's going to be interesting. Maybe they change this horse's tactic a little bit. Don't try to get to the lead at the quarter pole. Maybe make this one wait a little bit longer and get up late. Maybe he can get over that hang, but certainly that last race was a step in the right direction. You talked about the 5. He's Orientate, a first-time starter for Cal Lynch, and this one does have the pedigree to handle the off-going. I have interest in the 2, Sebastian, second-time starter for Katie Voss. Got late in debut. Has had 4 works since that race, and it wasn't a terrible first time out. Yeah, got beat 10 lengths. But comes in with 4 good works, including a good half on March 10th, 47-4. Katie doesn't work her horses that fast. If they go 47-4, they're doing it on their own or running off, one of the 2. That really perked my eyes. But I think this one's eligible to improve under Javion Toledo.
Yeah, let's hope he didn't run off with his exercise rider that morning, but I guess we'll see today. Of course, 4 furlongs is not 6.5, and I looked at his debut race. They didn't go that fast. He was away from a slow pace. Now, we know it's tricky to close into a slow pace, but instead of then running on and closing into it, he went backwards, and that kind of put me off.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue it. I just think this one will get improvements second time out. He doesn't win with a lot of first-time starters anyway. He's kind of develops these horses just a little bit slower. We'll see how it all works out. But 6-1 on the line, and I'll be happy. I do have that one on my Rainbow Pick 6 in race 4. It's time for you and I to take a little break, but we'll be back, and we'll talk about the second half of our card.
When it comes to getting back in the game, there's only one team to turn to. The team more high school, collegiate, and professional athletes train and recover with. That team is MedStar Sports Medicine. For more than 30 years, MedStar has served as a leader in the diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation of orthopedic and sports-related injuries. Ranked among the top programs in the Maryland and Washington regions, we offer rapid access to athletes of all levels. Let the pros who treat the pros treat you. MedStar Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to Today at the Races. We will continue with our card with a race 5. This is a starter allowance, $5,000 starter. Going a mile, Naomi, you have the 7, Belfour on top. Why not? This horse has been in really, really good form over the end of the year last year. Came back with 2 good races. Coming off a bit of a break this time, but 3 monster works. But we do have his race from January 17th.
We do indeed, and I should have keyed Phil up to ask him to circle Invest as well, who's reopposing in this race, because Invest is right there. That's the two of them. I see them possibly doing something similar here again if they're going to take each other on. You see here that Belfour didn't come out the good side of that, and Invest was tenacious and held on that day. But Belfour had to slightly steady when getting geared up. That was actually before we cut into this. It was a little bit of a dull race for him, but to me, it signifies his running style, which is grinding it out and winding up, which I think suits the one-turn mile much better. This horse, you can see him here also there was a gap, but he didn't have the momentum to go through it. So really, not really the effort that you want to see, but I think the key here is that this is a one-turn mile, and Belfour is the type of horse that loves grinding it out over a one-turn mile. Keep on going, keep him in the clear, and he'll deliver for you like he did 2 starts back at that starter level by 6 1/4 length. Now, yes, Invest reopposing, unequivocal as well. But I definitely see Belfour doing something good here today, because I just think that this is what he wants here, and these are his conditions.
It is his conditions. He handles it off track without any issue at all with 2 wins from 6 starts and 3 seconds. 3 monster works. When I talk about monster works, 3 consecutive 5/8 of a mile in a minute and a change on February 13th, February 24th, and March 12th. So it looks like he's coming in ready. My concern about Belfour was, even though he got a little trouble mid-stretch there, he was flattening out pretty much at the quarter pole, kind of going up and down, going to have to come back with a little bit better race this afternoon than that one. But look, his best is good enough here if he comes back with any one of his best races. I have the 3 on top, unequivocal, for Anthony Aguirre, who's having himself a very, very nice winner. This one's been in really good form since arriving in Anthony's barn. A recent win at Charlestown, 3 for 5 on an off track.
I was just looking at that, and Equivocal is certainly does well on an off-going. Now we'll see how it starts playing out here today. A bit more of a deep closure sometimes. If he doesn't get away that strongly, you can see him being just about 9 lengths or 8 lengths behind, which sometimes put me off. But what we have seen yesterday, the way the track's been playing, even though it was a sloppy track later on muddy, it's been very even, because I was looking at all the speed. If the speed wasn't good enough, the closers definitely came and got them no matter what the track conditions were. So very even playing field, which sets it up better for Unequivocal. I kind of disregarded him a little bit, because looking at Belfour's race, he put him away by 6 1/4 length, about 4 starts back. So I thought Belfour is the stronger horse. But Belfour, indeed, in his last race, went backwards and went dull a little bit. Unequivocal has actually started moving forward.
The 4 Invest, if he gets loose on an easy lead, could be dangerous. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot in here. Could put a lot of pressure on him. Maybe Fastmaster the 2 under John Geraldo, but could be a player here, the 4 Invest.
Yeah, and coming back to this starter level, no Gentleman Joe, no Crouchelli, all these open company allowance horses to contend with. Starter level suits him, and he'll be the one standing in the way of Belfort, basically. He's got a lot of early speed, and he showed that he can gamely duel and still continue despite receiving pressure.
7-4 for Naomi in race 5, 3-7 for myself. As we move on to race 6, this is a maiden $25,000 event. Take out the 3 square penny. Take out which was my top pick, the 7 Runner's Dream, and we both end up on the 1 Fearless Lassie for Claudio Gonzalez. First time off the claim, has a slight break, 4 good works. Looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, it seems a straight-up Claudio setup, despite, of course, the difficulties of being in quarantine. 4 works since that claim. The last 2 look very solid to me. Tired badly after sprinting away from the field early out. That cut back from the mile on a sloppy track to now the 5.5. Similar conditions with the money going, but it must have this filly grinning that she's going to have to go at least 4.5 furlongs less.
The 2 Practically Dizzy, a first-time starter for Brittany Russell, a $200,000 Keeneland yearling purchase in 2019. Wow, in for the maiden 25. I think this one's well entered. Look at its works. Those are maiden 25 works, but always dangerous, the Russells with the first-time starters.
Absolutely. Quickly, Frilly Lassie, I meant 2.5 furlongs less. I don't know how I was doing the math in my head there.
That's okay.
But
Sunday.
Practically Dizzy. Yeah, so not a good sign to see her in here for the tag after being a Keeneland September $200,000 purchase. She hasn't missed a work since January the 10th. Her dam was a Turf Sprint Stakes winner. She's half to 2 winners at allowance level, turf and dirt. Looks good, and of course we know Brittany Russell develops them very well, knows how to get them ready to go on race day. I'm just wondering why she's in here for the tag.
Well, when you look at her work tab, in an early part of her work tab, Brittany was going 10, 11 days, and typically doesn't go that long in between works. Came back in 7 days from February 26th, not even from March 7th to March 14th, but then went without a work from March 14th to April 3rd. So there's certainly some questions here. We just start with the $200,000 purchase and in for $25,000, and that could be a big enough question as it is. That's race 6 here at Laurel Park this afternoon. Race 7, what a nice race this is. Kudos to everybody involved putting this race together. Take out the 1 Clubman. This is a 3 other than going 1 mile. Naomi, you have the 2 Hanley's Houdini on top. This will be the second time for Claudio Gonzalez. Found a bit of his past form in that last start. We're going to take a look at that race right now.
I thought that was an incredibly game performance that day. He was right there, close to a pace with, Press My Bets, Honor the Fleet. This was a tough field, and he was right there coming with a tremendous run. To me, it signifies him getting back into form. This is going to be his second start in the Gonzalez bump, but you can see him there driving. Still has a fair bit to do. He's absolutely not home and host at all yet, but he doesn't give up. He's taking a lot of kickback, but is putting his hand down, responding willingly to Alex Sintra, moved clear in the top of the stretch, you can see there, and gave Press My Bets a really good scare there in the final stretch. You can see this horse is absolutely rolling, and that is over 7 furlongs. Of course, now going the 1 turn mile, but if you go back through his form, 3 starts back, he went over the 1 turn mile in the Jennings on ground with moisture in it and did very, very decently against heavy hitters like Tattooed, Galerio, Cordmaker. There aren't any of those type of horses in here. I feel that it's a wide open affair. There's a couple that are very good, but I think Hanley's Houdini gearing back up into form. Plus, I think the flow sets up for him here. I think there's plenty of speed for him to kind of hang just behind it and then get tipped into the clear once more and hopefully be able to run them down.
I didn't get to him. Very good on and off track, no doubt about it. But if he doesn't bring that race that he brought in his last start, will it be good enough? I'm not sure, and that's why I didn't get to him. I do have Claudio's other horse, the 4 Money Ride on top, making his Laurel debut in his last start here. Ran a big 87 by her speed figure, got the job done at that 2 other than level. Comes into Claudio's barn for the first time here this afternoon. That's 29%. and these horses typically move forward, and you get Caramanos back.
Yeah, Money Ride, he won a couple of tough races up at Aqueduct, then ventured out here, made his first start at Laurel a winner, now in the Claudio Gonzalez barn. He will try and run them off their feet early. The problem here is that Arthur's Hope on his outside will have plenty to say about the pace too.
He very well might have plenty to say about the pace. Money Ride, very good on and off track, bred to run on off track, and has 2 for 4 with a good number sitting there for Money Ride. You can't not talk about the 3 Dixie Draw. Both of us have this one in our exacta. This is a horse that's been in a really good form. Turns back from that 9 furlong effort where he ran behind Cordmaker and Galerio, ran a 92 Beyer speed figure, but had some good races going a mile also.
See, that was really interesting, the 92 speed figure for that race, is signifying how tough that race really was, the Harrison E. Johnson Memorial, which basically got won by Victor Carrasco on the front. And Dixie Draw didn't get into gear like he normally does. This is a tough-ass nails runner for Dale Capuano, and I've chatted with Dale a couple of times about this horse because I like him a lot. I give him all the respect in here especially, but he needs to break and then get into that top gear because he will keep going in that top gear. But if he doesn't, and then as in the Harrison E. Johnson Memorial, there was no real pace. You can't run into a race when there's no pace. So Dixie Draw either has to go and sit right on it or maybe even make the lead here because he has been aggressive before. So he just didn't get into his gear. But when he does, he's devastating on the front.
George Ruiz returns. He knows this horse quite well. 2-3 in race 7 for Naomi. 4-3 for myself as we move to the nightcap race 8. This is a nice starter race. 4 3-year-olds and upward, going 7/8 of a mile. Naomi, you have the 5 Bernie's on fire on top for Claudio Gonzalez. And look, when this horse is right, he's very right, and he tends to be right when he's coming off a layoff.
He is indeed. This is really interesting how our selections are so different throughout the day. It's a competitive day. Bernie's on fire has been away from the track 83 days. And as you mentioned, he can run very, very sharply after a layoff. And in that last race, that restricted allowance level, he was bumped on the start. He made an aggressive move to challenge, gets taken out wide by the eventual winner into the 6 to 7 path. They came from close to the rail and he got taken out all the way into the center of the track. But he keeps on fighting and he keeps on trying and loses out by a neck there. If he turns up like that, I think he's going to take them here.
Going to have to go 7/8 of a mile, which he's never done.
True.
Off a layoff this afternoon, but definitely has to be respected. I have the 4 Sir Back in Black on top for Jamie Ness. This would be third off the claim for Jamie. Turning back from a route to a sprint, hits at about 27%, 28% off this slight freshening with 4 big works. I just think Jamie just dropped back and punted with this one. And when you look at his sprint races, they're pretty good.
Yeah, if you look back at his sprint form, that has actually been
The
better than some of his distance races. So indeed, turning back to the 7 might just be exactly what he wants. And in comparison to the company he's kept during those sprint races, this should be a fair bit easier. No Oxide in here, who's of course blistering fast. He came across that restricted allowance race that day. I kind of left him out because I just need to see him return to form here. But Jamie Ness has been firing since the spring meet started. So perhaps at my own risk, I've left Sir Back in Black out.
Dinosaur Ben 5-2 on the line in very, very good form for Anthony Aguirre. That will do our races for today. This is an exciting card and looking forward to it. Naomi, we had a big day yesterday, and let's go to the lightning round there, fellas, or actually Olivia will go to the lightning round right now. Naomi, we had a big day. The late pick 5 included 4 really, really nice allowance races, and I just wanted to go back and visit these allowance races once again, and we're going to start with Gifted Heart in race 5. This was a second-level allowance race, if I remember right. Yes, a second-level allowance race, and here comes Gifted Heart.
I mean, so tough. You can see Hydra there trying to rebid because Gifted Heart actually set the pace. She outsprinted Hydra early. Hydra came under pressure. Charlie had to take back, and you can see her coming up. But Gifted Heart, so much the best on the day. Like absolutely blistering performance there. The blinkers go on, and she just found a whole new gear.
$13.20 on Gifted Heart. Then we go to race 6, which was a first level allowance race, a very, very competitive race. and Malibu Beauty showed up in a big way.
She did indeed. She stayed at the sprinting distance, which she absolutely loves. Sheldon Russell gets aboard, and this time she gets a clean trip out in the clear, no stopping starting like she has in some had to do in some of the last races, and that proved, I mean, this was so much easier for her. She could just keep on going, keep on grinding, much the best on the day, 3-year-old fillies.
Race 7, a straight 3-year-old first level allowance race going 7/8 of a mile, and it featured the very, very talented Hemp.
Now, Hemp, oof, that was impeccable. He did get slightly tired in the stretch there late, but these were a couple of tough hitting 3-year-olds that he just put away. Wonder where Anthony Ferry is going to send him. Is he going to stretch out, or is he going to go back to the 6 furlong? That, of course, was a 7 furlong event yesterday. We were talking about this before, weren't we, Tim? Do you want to go to the Chick Lang, the grade 3, during the Preakness meet, or are you going to try and stretch out? Hemp, to me, by the looks of it, I think they could possibly do both. He showed terrific turn of foot going shorter, and he stayed and outgritted them late here.
Asking me stretching out is overrated. I'm pointing this one to the Chick Lang, a race I won a few years back, but it's nice to have a good sprinting 3-year-old. Race 8, race 8. That featured Whiskey and You, who came back and ran back, and what a run, what a race this one, what a race this was yesterday afternoon.
I mean, this went right down to the wire. You can see him here switching towards the inside. This was tough. My heart went out to Kerry Times, who'd done all the work, but Whiskey and You absolutely grinding it out there. Blanc finish, as you can see. What a wonderful race. And that was also, I do believe, Charlie Marquez's first win for the spring meet. So congratulations to Charlie getting off the duck again. But Whiskey and You, that was tenacious.
And Whiskey and You actually won on his actual birthday.
He did indeed.
Yesterday, so that was interesting. Before we get to the April racing schedule, just a quick shout out. Rachel Blackmore on Manila Times won the English Grand National yesterday, the first female rider to ever win the English Grand National. If you don't watch the race, go look at the interview and you'll see the emotion of Rachel Blackmore coming off being leading rider at Cheltenham earlier this year, one of the premier jump meets in England. However, we've got a big April coming up, and we're going to take another look at April. And Naomi, you can take it from here.
Yeah, we're not racing on Thursday and Friday next week like we normally do, but we are racing on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, April 17 to 19. And I think that week after, we're welcoming horses from outside once again as well. So much to look forward to. The Spring Stakes then, April the 24th, 3 weeks before the Preakness coming up, the Tessio, the Premonetta Stakes. This is just something to look forward to. We've had good cards throughout the week here, and they're just going to get better.
They certainly will, and we've got a lot to look forward to. We're going to take a little rest this week, but I can guarantee you we come back strong next Saturday when we resume racing after today's card. Hope you join us here this afternoon. We have an interesting card. We have a pretty nice carryover in the Rainbow Pick 6. I think there's going to be some opportunities this afternoon for some prices, Naomi. What do you think?
I think so as well, especially if you look at our selections, how different they are. You make up your mind.
Dave Rodman will be up next with Scratches and Changes. That's going to do it for us. Good luck.